What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a new video. As you guys can see, today I'm not on location, which is kind of unusual, but the weather has been insanely crazy lately. We've had a week of below zero temperatures, which has kept me off the road. So things are a little bit different in this video, but I hope to share with you guys some interesting information. We're going to be talking about Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Los Angeles. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to put up some video footage from the last time that I was at Hollywood Forever. And we're going to talk about 5 grave sites that you have to visit if you are ever at Hollywood Forever Cemetery. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about those people. So now this is the iconic sign outside. And now Hollywood Forever was founded in 1899, and it was originally known as Hollywood Cemetery. And then it became known as Hollywood Memorial Park before changing its name to Hollywood Forever in 1998. Now it sits on 62 acres in the heart of Hollywood, and you can see the famous Hollywood sign from inside the park. It is a beautiful place. There's a lot of wildlife. I would say be careful when you drive around because there's a lot of peacocks and geese and everything else. And sometimes they get a little territorial. There are a lot of cats and things like that that live in there. So be somewhat cautious, but it is a beautiful place. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about 5 of my personal favorite people to visit while at Hollywood Forever. Now I'm going to play this while we do this. And but I have to stress that Hollywood Forever is one of the nicest cemeteries. I have done a full cemetery tour that I'll link in a card up at the top of this video. But this is what it looks like on the inside. They have a little island where you can walk over there and check things out. But this is what things look like on the inside. They have a lagoon, but there's so many people buried here. I think it's over 700 notable names if you look on Find a Grave. But like as I said, that there's a lot of wildlife here. It's just a really peaceful place. And in Los Angeles, you really don't find this kind of peace anywhere else. So we're going to talk about the 5 graves that you have to visit when you're here. And the first one would be, he's in the mausoleum, a very interesting actor, a Hollywood legend, I guess you could say. But this is Rudolph Valentino, and he was a very popular silent film star, probably the equivalent to today's Johnny Depp. Now, in 1926, he was diagnosed with appendicitis and ulcers, and he had surgery. And with that surgery, he had complications. He contracted sepsis, passed away at a very young age at only 31. This is one of the most visited grave sites here at Hollywood Forever. And I'll pause it here when I need to tell you guys a little bit more. But this one is a little bit harder to find. It's kind of off the beaten path inside the main mausoleum. But there also was a story of a woman in black, and whether she actually existed or not, nobody really knows if it's real or if it's myth or legend or lore. But the woman in black, supposedly she came to visit Rudolph Valentino's grave every year on the anniversary of his death and left a rose at his gravesite. But this is Rudolph Valentino. He passed away at a very early age. Like I said, 31 years old. Who knows what he would have accomplished had he lived a longer life. But it's just a very interesting story about his life. And he was just a fascinating character in Hollywood history. But I would have to rank him as the number 5 grave that you'd have to visit. But like I said, he is in the mausoleum. And this would be Douglas Fairbanks. His grave is also another one that you have to visit. When you first go in, you can't miss it. But he was a famous swashbuckling actor in the silent era. He was a founding member of the United Artists and the Motion Picture Academy. He hosted the first ever Oscars. And I'll pause this again a second, but he was referred to as the King of Hollywood, and with his wife Mary Pickford became one of Hollywood's first ever power couples. Now, he suffered a fatal heart attack on December 12th of 1939 and passed away at the age of 56. Now, Douglas Fairbanks is interred in this sarcophagus on the other end of this reflecting pool, and so is his son Douglas Fairbanks Jr. Now, this is one of the most interesting graves here because it does have its own reflecting pond. And if you guys can see the big yard lawn behind this, you wouldn't think so, but Hollywood Forever Cemetery actually hosts a lot of film premieres, and they have movie nights, they have concerts, and everything else. It's not just a cemetery, it's kind of a local park. So there's always a lot of interesting things to do. But this is the final resting place of Douglas Fairbanks. But this is one of the grave sites that you have to see when you're here because this is beautiful. And this particular day when I was here, the weather wasn't all that great, but I will get back there again sometime in the next couple of months. I'll let you guys know when. If you have things that you want to see or people you want to see, let me know. But let's move on to number 3. Give you one more look here at the Douglas Fairbanks grave. Now, this is Judy Garland. She was probably best known as Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, and she did it all. She was first buried in New York, then she was brought back to LA. She has the Judy Garland Pavilion here inside the mausoleum. But like I said, she did it all. She won a Golden Globe, a Tony. She was the first woman to win a Grammy Award for Album of the Year. She was a 2-time Oscar nominee. But she, despite all of her success, she did have her share of troubles. At the age of 39, though, she received the Cecil B. DeMille Award for Lifetime Achievement in Film. Now, she passed away in London on June 22nd, 1969, at the age of only 47 of an accidental drug overdose. Now, in her final years, she had a lot of issues. She had she had a lot of financial problems. She had difficulties with people. She had difficulties with prescription drugs, things like that. She lived kind of a hard life. And a lot of Hollywood executives didn't want to cast her later in life. They didn't think that she had grown up to be attractive enough for the big screen. So she did a lot of other things. She hosted the Judy Garland show, and she a very big star of stage and screen, but a very one of the biggest Hollywood legends there was Wizard of Oz, probably one of the best movies that was ever made. And the director, Victor Fleming, is also here at Hollywood Forever. I will do a video on him also. But this is the final resting place of Judy Garland. And like I said, she was originally in New York, but they brought her here. And this is a more fitting place, I feel. But her family wanted her back here in LA, so here she is. Now back out, and we will go to the number 2 grave. As you guys can see, there's still a lot of empty niches in here. But Burt Reynolds. Now, Burt Reynolds has, in my opinion, one of the nicest graves at Hollywood Forever. Probably best known as Smokey and Smokey and the Bandit, Deliverance. He was in so many different movies. One of the biggest stars and box office draws of all time. Now, later in life, he had a lot of financial struggles in his later years. He had a lot of health problems. The day he passed away, he was actually reading the script for Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was going to have I don't know if it was a cameo role or if he was going to actually play a role, but he was reading that script when he actually started suffering heart attack symptoms, and he was taken to the hospital in Jupiter, Florida, and passed away there at the age of 82. Now, towards the end of his life, he had a lot of financial problems. He had bankruptcy issues, and he was having a really hard time of it. And as you guys know, he was married to Lonnie Anderson. He lost a lot of money with women, divorces. He spent a lot of money. But, he was a really, really interesting guy in Hollywood. And I know I say that for everybody, but all these people have their stories. Burt Reynolds, at the end of his life, was living in his house in Jupiter, Florida, but he couldn't afford to keep that house. So the house was purchased by his neighbor, who was a very rich guy, and he basically let Burt live in that house almost rent-free for the rest of his life. So he ended up being okay towards the end of his life. He was doing a lot of independent films. He was doing a lot of autograph signings, appearances, things like that. But people always said that Burt Reynolds was just a nasty guy. But I actually worked with him for about a day, and I know that a day isn't really a lot of time to say whether somebody was a nice guy or not. But I saw him interact with probably 1,000 fans, and he was listening to what everyone had to say with a smile on his face. He was joking with people. He was holding people's kids, everything else, everything that you would expect for him to be, he was. And to me, he was just one of the best. But he has one of the nicest spots here at Hollywood Forever. They have this bust here that they unveiled after having a very simple grave here for about a year. But he passed away September 6th, 2018. Like I said, he was 82 years old. But people leave a lot of things for him here. And then the number one, this is probably my favorite grave here outside of Burt Reynolds. This is Anton Yelchin, a very, very young actor. He was 27 when he passed away. One of the younger people here at Hollywood Forever. He was in the Star Trek reboot. I first saw him in Alpha Dog. He was a really, really good actor, showed a lot of promise, but he had a terrible accidental death. On June 18th of 2016, he was found by friends at his home, pinned between his Jeep and a brick pillar gate post from a freak accident. Now, Yelchin got out of his Jeep to check his mail, and it rolled down an incline, trapping him against the security gate. Now, this is just a horrible death. Nobody was expecting it. 27, obviously the famous 27 Club. But this is I believe it's a full-size statue of Anton, and this is just a beautiful, beautiful spot. And his parents obviously were heartbroken over this, and they still visit Anton's grave every day. Now, this all happened at his house in Studio City. I am planning on doing a video there also. But his parents moved into his old house where he passed away at, and they still live in that house. Now, the gate where he was pinned up against is now gone. I've seen a couple videos of that, but this is the final resting place of Anton Yelchin. Now, he's got a very good spot right up against the lagoon. He's buried right next to Helena Hutchins, which you guys may or may not remember, but she was a cinematographer on a film called Rust with Alec Baldwin, where she was accidentally shot with a prop gun. But there's so many people and stories and everything else here at Hollywood Forever Cemetery. But these are my top 5 most favorite grave sites. And like I said, this is a very different way that I usually present videos. But just because it was cold, it's kind of a crappy week. This is the way that I thought that it might be kind of fun to do. And I will be doing a lot more videos coming to you from Hollywood Forever, from Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills. There's a lot more coming up from Hollywood. We just did Nashville. We did some spots in Atlanta. There's a lot of really good, interesting cemetery tours coming up. And if you guys like famous graves, historic sites, we got a little bit of everything. And the point of doing the video this way is because I want to try to start bringing in podcasts as part of or in addition to the videos that I make. So what's going to end up happening is we're going to try to bring on guests as we can, curators from museums, people. Maybe we'll get a couple famous guests on, people that run cemeteries, people that, sometimes maybe even other YouTube channel people. You just never know what you're going to end up finding, what kind of things are going to end up happening. But that's pretty much all I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this format. We will be back on the road soon, and I'm going to bring you guys back the videos that you're used to seeing on this channel. But thanks so much for watching, everybody, and take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you on the next video.